welcome everybody. I am so excited that you are here to sit with me during another Leaders Lounge Library. Now, I got to tell you, today's interview is with an extraordinary woman. I first heard her speak on a stage at Eric Worre's Most Powerful Women. And I got to tell you that just like that, I felt this connection. She was talking about subconscious mind and mindset, but from a completely different perspective than most people. Most people have like a catchphrase, and basically it's kind of like, okay, just go do that. And what Carol does is she can dig down in deep and deal with mindset on, on a neuroscience level, right? On an understanding of exactly what's happening in the wiring of a mind. And so, Carol, would you please come and join us? Let me unmute you and bring you on. I want everybody to see you. Hey, Carol. So it's, yes. So Carol, hold on for a second, because man, I got to get into this thing I love so much about what you do. You do meditation CDs and you walk people through mindset training of all kinds. So tell me how you got into mindset training inside of network marketing.
Well, that was my background. I have a master's in social work. My goal was to be a therapist, but life shifted. And when it came time to figure out what I was going to do with my life, I actually started teaching hypnobirthing, which is a natural childbirth method. And then that morphed into hypnotherapy, which I found to be way more effective than regular talk therapy.
Right.
And so I had a practice, thought that was great, but it was not sustainable. And so I started using a product from a network marketing company, never intending to do the business, but fell in love with the products so much that I had to share them with my friends. And that's how I inadvertently started my business.
Right.
27 months later, I hit the top rank, and here you go.
27 months later, you hit the top rank. So, let's back it up, because there's so much to unpack there. So tell me about the journey. I mean, were you someone who you kind of had mindset nailed through the entire thing? Did you have challenges along the way? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I had to overcome a lot of challenges because I had the same fears about network marketing that I think everybody does. You know, like, people are going to reject me. They're going to think I'm totally weird for wanting to be in this like pyramid thing. And, you know, there's just a whole level of that fear of failure that I had to constantly overcome. But thankfully, because of my mindset training, I was able to know what to do when those blockages would come up.
Wow. Wow. So I love you sharing all of those. You know, we did a survey, and what we discovered after interviewing 500 leaders from 28 different companies is that it all came down to the same thing. 97% of people that were blocked said it was mindset. And the big three mindset blockers were doubt, fear, and low self-esteem, right? Insecurities, same stuff. So everything you just mentioned kind of fits in that category, you know, fear of rejection and, you know, people judging you and fear of failure, all of those different pieces. Mm-hmm. So is there a specific tool that you used, or was it like you used the entire body of information that you have? Or
I think it was mainly focusing on what I wanted versus focusing on what I didn't want. And the didn't want is what is so common, right? That's the automatic response. I don't want people to think I'm a freak for doing this. I don't want people to like not show up when I do a class. I don't. And that's what we tend to just automatically focus. It's like our survival mode kicks in, right? But I had to just acknowledge, okay, I have that thought. That's just a thought. Here's what I choose. Here's what I'm working towards, and put that aside and focus on what I'm choosing to work towards.
Right.
and constantly just flipping and reminding myself to go back to, what am I creating? Why am I creating it? Why is this important? What am I doing this for? Versus letting the fears get overwhelming.
So as a leader, what do you think? Because everybody coming to Escape the Ordinary is working on their leadership skills. What do you think is the most important mindset of a leader? What do people absolutely must master in their step into leadership?
I think first off, they have to identify their fears, right? Their blockages, because you can rank up, but you're not going to get to the highest rank that you want until you actually work on those blockages, until you acknowledge them and you find some skill sets to deal with them. Secondly, I think it's really important to figure out who you are as a leader. We don't really get training to be leaders. We jump into network marketing as moms, as a side hustle from our corporate job or whatever it is. And so most people don't have leadership skills. So we don't know how to coach people. We don't know how to mentor people. We have that skill set if we're a mom or we've been,
Right.
on a team or whatever, but to transfer that to a group that we're responsible is different. And knowing that we can do that, even if we don't know what we're doing, and have that vulnerability to say to our team, like, hey, I don't know how to do this, but we're going to figure it out together, is such a community building kind of thing.
Right. I think that you're right. Awareness. It's one of the things I really love about you is you are such a thinking being. Your awareness, you key in on, what people need, what's going on. If you were going to start your business all over again, from the ground up, what are the key qualities that you would look for in a leader that you wanted to invite to your team?
I would look for people that are self-motivated, that are confident, that love to talk and share, and that want to grow, that have that desire to grow as a person in them already.
That's brilliant. And so how many of those do you have on your team? Just out of curiosity.
Those are really rare. I'd say the majority of the people on my team love the product. They want to share, but they have a lot of blockages. And they just want to do it as a hobby. So it's my job to help figure out ways to inspire them, to share, to keep sharing, because those people that I just spoke about, those are like my dream team people, right? But those are hard to come by and rare, and it takes a lot of work to get to a place to be in that space, and not everyone is, and I have to accept everybody where they are and hopefully help kind of motivate them to go a little notch further than their comfort zone.
It's actually really comforting to hear you say all of this, because I think what it feels like is that if you want to go to the top of the company, if you want to be at the top level like you are, right, that you have to have 10, 20, 30 of those people. You said, that's my dream team. That's what I'm looking for. But the truth is, you can achieve what you've achieved with few of those people.
Yeah.
You have a few outstanding leaders. Some of them grew into leadership. Some of them were kind of already in possession of those skill sets, right? But it's kind of nice to know from your perspective that, hey, you can reach the top with a handful of those, and then a whole lot of others that you are nurturing. So what's the most important thing for that level? In other words, if you need a lot, you need many, few at the top and many of those others, what are the things that are the most important qualities that help you know that that person is going to benefit from your time and attention? They're actually going to do something with it.
Well, I don't think you ever have that guarantee. I think you invest the time and you see if that person is actually going to follow through with what they say they're gonna do. Give them a couple tries. And if they don't, then I know, like, okay, I'll check in with them, but I need to move on.
Right.
But I think that the reality for anyone to get to the top, it's more about the community. Like, what are you doing for the community, the bigger group? How can you help one person share to one person? If you have a team of 20 and they all share, and then all of those people share one time, the compounding effect is enormous. And that's what you're really working towards, is to find a way to show people this is easy. All you're doing is sharing this information, and repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, right? It's not rocket science to get to the top. It takes a healthy mindset, a humble mindset, where you're willing to look at what parts of you need to grow, and then show people how to duplicate.
Right. I told you what I think is amazing about you is it's like you're this conscious awareness energy that you possess. What do you think your greatest skill set is?
I think I can read people pretty well. I'm an empath, so I can feel the energy. I'm kind of that quiet introvert that kind of watches the room and feels the room. And then when I say something, it's usually, pretty impactful or important, especially when it's in a problem solving kind of setting.
Right. We were talking before we turned the recording on about awareness. And I think in today's world, today's challenges, with everything that feels like it's kind of going crazy, I think people are more aware than they've ever been of their own, I would call it blind spots. The bias to look at the world through a specific pair of glasses, right? This is how I see the world. This is what's true. And it feels like we're very separated, very isolated, often our own little camps about, I believe this and I believe this. And it does feel to me like we miss each other in a very specific way. But you had some amazing, a project that you're working on to really elevate this core awareness. I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks. It's called Love for Every Home. So with all the stuff that's going on in the world, racial division, political division, religious, all the things, right, are happening. As a leader, I was struggling because I want to be as aware and inclusive of diversity of everybody on my team. And I knew I was probably offending somebody just because I'm coming from my own lens, right? And I don't know. I mean, for sure, I'm a red color personality. And so I know growing my business, I probably turned a whole lot of yellow personality people off because I was so red, so direct, so just let's get this done. So I had to do personal development to figure out how to be less red with my yellow people that love the relationship building and the small talk and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of my business, I want to be as aware as possible. And I know that I am not capable of seeing the bigger picture. So we actually hired 2 diversity and inclusivity specialists that are highly skilled. They've been doing this kind of work for over 25 years, both of them. And what we're doing right now is just having some pre-learning activity in a Facebook group. We're having some intro calls, but starting in January, we're going to have 2 calls a month with our experts for an hour. And we're going to take a deep dive into learning about our personal biases, focusing on racial discrimination, because that is the biggest topic of the day. But it also transfers to discrimination of all kinds, of LGBTQ, of religious, discrimination, of gender discrimination, of all the kinds of discrimination.
Yeah.
And as leaders, we need to be responsible for ensuring that everybody on our team feels included and feels like they have an equal opportunity.
I love that. I mean, I so love that work. Because when you look at the wounds that we have, first as children, right? And then as adults, those wounds get created as people make us feel like we're not good enough, right? Or we're not the right kind of woman, or we're not the right color person, or we're not the right, our parents don't do the right kind of business. And those wounds that originate there just continue on, and then they become, they're infectious for sure, but they are like a virus, right? They just kind of like creep into so many areas of our life, and without even knowing it. And I think this is what you're really leading to. Without even knowing it, we develop those biases, those they feel like uh solid walls, right, around this is right, that's wrong, this is okay, that's not, I'm connected to these kind of people and not to them. And we begin to see other people as less than, you
Mhm.
know, and and it's a downhill spiral from there, as a society, but definitely as a leader on a team, it definitely impacts the growth of your team, the community, the connection, all of those things that are so important to us as women.
Mhm.
So, what can everybody do? I love that you guys are doing this, but what can everybody do right here, right now, today? What can we do to kind of challenge those blind spots?
Yeah. Well, everybody's welcome to join our Love for Every Home project. There is a fee. The fee is a sliding scale fee. So it's to help us pay for our experts. Anything over that, whatever we need to pay for them, will be donated to a nonprofit. So I'm not making any money off of this. But I think, you know, again, just stepping out of your comfort zone and looking online, watching some videos about personal bias, discrimination, and just kind of reading some books. There's a lot of books out there these days that can kind of just open our eyes to the fact that, like, okay, I've led this life and this is what I've learned, but there's information out here that also makes sense. And it's not oh, that's wrong, but
Right.
let's explore and be curious about all the stuff that's outside of our own viewpoint so that we can get a better understanding and work to create the bridges versus the divide, continue the divide. When we first start our teams, we're probably going to be enrolling the people that are like us. But at some point, as we grow and we grow, we're going to have people on our team that are not like us, different religion, different countries, right? That have different holidays. And those kinds of things need to be on our just in our mind as
Right.
we lead our teams.
That's brilliant. I think, as we're talking about all this, I'm just kind of thinking about how um, mindset training, one of the most important things that happens in mindset training is that, that moment when the brain goes, oh, I love the word curiosity, because that's really what it is. It's like that curiosity to say, instead of saying, well, I know how things work and you're stuck in the,
Right.
cycle, but instead of going, oh, I'm curious, maybe there's another way, maybe there's another thought, maybe there's something else going on here. That is what leads you really to the answers. When people say to me, I don't know, I'm stuck, but I don't know why.
Mhm.
Well, the most important first step is to help them become aware and get curious. You're right, because that can lead them to much deeper understanding.
Mhm.
Brilliant, brilliant. What last piece of advice? We're out of time. This is a great conversation, but what last piece of advice would you have for anybody trying to up level their leader's mindset, right? Stepping into a completely different mindset. What would your last bit of advice be?
I would find some people to run with that want to do the same thing so that you can have a small community where you're cheering each other on and pushing each other to go outside of that comfort zone, to do the uncomfortable things. Because when you have that support system, it's much more likely that you're going to actually do the work than doing it on your own.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And give us the address one more time of your new project.
It's called Love for Every Home. I can send you the link to sign up. It's an Eventbrite link.
Fabulous. Carol Yeh-Garner, thank you so much for your love, your compassion, your insight, and being such an incredible leader. Someone that people can kind of watch and get to know a little bit and understand themselves so much better. So we really appreciate who you are in the world.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on this.
You are welcome. All right, guys, another amazing interview. Make sure you check out that website and make sure that you come back and listen over and over and over so that you are really gleaning the best of these interviews. All right, guys, thanks so much. Bye-bye, everybody.